I have like the Criterion collection of Chaplin, so it's like 9 DVDs of just Charlie Chaplin movies that I still have, even though I have yet, as Pat saw this weekend, I have yet to plug in my television. It's just in the center of my living room, unplugged. But I still have like an enormous amount of Chaplin DVDs. And when I was a kid, I like watched through almost all of them. I don't think I've seen The Circus, and I certainly haven't seen the Countess of Hong Kong because I was warned against watching that. Um, you know, despite the Marlon Brando appearance. But like I really liked them when I was a kid, and I haven't watched those DVDs in part because of unplugged television in a number of years. And it was nice to, well, now I have Criterion, the channel, so I don't have to plug in the television. I could just put it on the computer. But it was nice to get back to it again. But yeah, that was something like I went through a Chaplin phase as a kid, and like 16 years old. I guess you're a teenager, not a kid at that point. But that was my first experience watching it.
Yeah, I think that's how most kids get into Chaplin, right? High school. You're either a varsity football player or a Charlie Chaplin player.
I did both. If that's
You bridge crosser, you.
Yeah. Well, I dropped the football team, so I'm still talking about Chaplin now.
What position did you play, Tom?
I was a D end, so
Okay.
and a rather poor D end. I was the smallest D end on my team, which was it was a private high school, so they recruited. So I was like the little guy. Initially, I was the fat guy, and then I was just the guy, the little fellow.
Well, that's probably why, because you were the fat guy, so you were stuck as a defensive end, and then they were well, now you're thin and you're not strong, so you can't play this anymore.
Yeah, you're not very good at this. You can bring water.
Did you guys watch it together? The rest of the football team?
Oh God, no. They were like psychopaths.
So this was my first Charlie Chaplin movie. I hadn't seen one before this. I'd seen one Buster Keaton movie, and this was okay. I don't know. Yeah. I watched it on the computer. I watched the 1925 version with the intertitles, and then I watched the 42 version about halfway through, and it felt like he was pitching the movie to me. He's kind of narrating. He's like, oh, and this is the scene where we're gonna do this. Like it didn't feel like a coherent movie. It felt more like a pitch for a movie that he hadn't finished yet.
It's like when what's his name releases Avatar, right? It's just like it's made a ton of money and we're going to do it again.
I love something I saw about Avatar recently where somebody pointed out that they go, here's the challenge. They go, it's the highest grossing film of all time. Can you name a single line of dialogue from that film? A single line. Give me one line from that movie. One. No, I mean, I've seen Chaplin movies before, at least, because I actually thought I had it on DVD. I have some other ones, but I only have like short ones. So I don't have, I didn't have Gold Rush, but so I watched it last night, less than 24 hours ago, because I was asked to join. So so I watched it. I watched it last night. No problem.
Cheers.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, cheers. I've got more beer too, so we're good to go. So, but yeah, I quite enjoyed it. I mean, as you know, I like older movies and I like silent movies, so I actually quite enjoyed it. I thought it was one of the. I think it's actually, in all honesty, I think it's probably my favorite silent movie that I've seen. I actually quite enjoyed it. I thought it was a very good film. But yeah, so I suppose how I watched it last night was sitting on my couch at 11:30 at night. We put the kids to bed, we watched the Mets game, and then I put that on. So that was how I watched it last night.
Is DeGrom pitched, right?
He did. He had a decent
well.
He did. Yeah. He did pretty well. Now I
still didn't get a win.
Yeah, I should be clear. I am a Red Sox fan. But my wife is a Mets fan, and DeGrom is my starting pitcher for my fantasy team. So I was glad to see him have a fine outing.
Yeah,
and I haven't met her, but we've established you've already married up.
Yeah, I mean, we agreed to split the kids. So they're Mets fans. So actually, we're going to take one of them's been to about 50 games because we had season tickets for years. So one of them's been to like 50 games. We brought him to like all the games when he was like he went to a game when he was a week old. He like got out of the NICU and he was at a baseball game the next day. So he's been to many games, but the younger one hasn't been to a game because he couldn't go to a game last year because there were no games. So he's never been to a game. So it will be one of their first games tomorrow. But so they're Mets fans. And then because I insisted they had to at least have a chance of winning a championship at some point, they're Patriots fans. So we have Patriots and Mets fans.
A little late, huh?
I think there's plenty of time. I think we're starting. We're on a new. Well, I mean, he was alive for one of the Super Bowls wins, so he's at least got already one under his belt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we'll see. I think there's time for a new renaissance in the Patriots. I think it's been long enough without a win.
Actually, this is my first Chaplin movie, as far as I can recall. I could remember watching like Evan Costello, Laurel and Hardy, that kind of stuff. But as far as silent movies go, I'm pretty sure this is my first. So I watched it kind of the inverse of what Pat did. I watched it at like 5:45 in the morning before work because that was about all the free time I could squeeze in was that and with my morning coffee. I don't know that it was necessarily for me. It was fine. I kind of appreciated it, and I could kind of see, some things that I guess, everything that you've seen after it kind of take from it, but it was okay. I think I'm in KJ's camp.
Yeah, I just thought Buster Keaton had much better screen presence, right? Not stage presence, screen presence. The one Buster Keaton movie I saw was The General, which I guess is a pretty famous Buster Keaton one. But early on in the film, he walks into somebody's house, I think the girl he's trying to court, and the way he walked into the house had me laughing hysterically. So just his physical comedy, I felt, was better on screen than anything I saw Charlie Chaplin do in The Gold Rush. But
yeah, they're very different too. And I mean, like Keaton is much more of a stuntman too. I mean, he takes a lot more risks.
Yeah.
Chaplin really doesn't do that. Keaton's also very blank, and Chaplin's kind of very expressive. Yeah, I mean, it's like the comparison I heard, or the description of Chaplin I heard that was really kind of resonated with me was most slapstick, kind of like beer hall London slapstick up to that point was like somebody walks into a tree and everybody laughs, the sort of inheritance of Commedia dell'arte. And what Chaplin figured out was like you walk into a tree and then you apologize to the tree, right? And that's what gets the laugh. And it's kind of like the difference between him and Keaton was very much about kind of pushing what you walked into, and Chaplin was much more kind of much more delicate in the responses.